What is going on, everybody? I decided to hold off of doing this yesterday. I was tired. And the last one I did when I was tired, I didn't really feel like I was in it as such, or it felt really whingy. I don't know. It's just one of those self examinations, a little bit of a reflection on, when and where I should be doing this and all that. The schedule's changed. I've had some late nights with ice hockey, and that sleep pattern really messes me up. I've been, as you've all heard, very complainy about my sleep and trying to get my head wrapped around doing it better. But nevertheless, I decided to wait and do it when I was more awake and more prepared. And so today I feel good about doing this. I hope you enjoy this. But before I get going, I'm trying to get on the bandwagon of promoting other podcasts that are out there and people that are starting up. And one of the ones that I've been catching on or listening to, catching up with, no, none of those things make sense. One of the ones I've picked up and started listening to is Gazing into the Abyss. And it's pretty interesting. It's a sort of lightweight philosophy podcast. They're short and sweet. They're about 15 minutes long or less. And they kind of pose a question and then walk that out. And there's sort of two sides of the coin, where the co-hosts kind of walk with it. They're grad students, and they're just having a crack at it, and I've really been enjoying it. So much so that I reached out and said, hey, let's do some sort of collaboration. It could be a bit of fun. Anyway, I hope that you go and have a listen to it. I don't even know that they know that I'm mentioning this, but the point being that when I find something interesting, I think other people should listen to it. So they pose some pretty interesting questions and really kind of cut into that human condition problem, stuff that I've been grappling with, and really in this sort of food for thought, fundamentally I'm kind of chasing, answering these sort of collided questions and things that happen in my mind. Check it out, Gazing into the Abyss. And if you're just going to do the Instagram thing, it's Gazing into the Abyss with 3 S's, as they say. And that's true. I'm looking at it now. They have 3 S's on there. So have a crack if you want to do some philosophy stuff. We'll check it out. So this week on Food for Thought, I'm going to talk about denial. I been battling with denial. I think I've battled denial my whole life in varying degrees. And I guess one of the things that I've often talked about when it comes to denial is that, it's just something that we're all dealing with. It's one of those things where, I guess there's very many forms of denial. There's what I might call something like personal denial, where, you're dealing with the should I eat that cookie or not eat that cookie? Should I put the ice cream in a bowl or should I eat the whole pint of ice cream? This is, sort of that sort of personal denial thing that ultimately is aiming towards an end game whereby you are looking to achieve a thing. And, generally speaking, that could be, challenging your self-control or a diet, and that could be a good thing. It's a choice and you're fundamentally complicit in the decision. So, there's upsides and you're looking at an outcome. I mean, personal denial can be completely unhealthy as well. For instance, if you're, not eating food, or you're starving yourself, or doing things to, lose weight, which are unhealthy in their practice to get to the end game, you're fundamentally, gonna do some damage to yourself in an uncontrolled way. I mean, obviously, there's, get into the details of it. There's keto, there's planned, lightweight eating. But fundamentally, I'm talking about that sort of dangerous, unhealthy pattern of doing self-denial or things of that nature. Denial, personal denial can be kind of controlled 2 ways or done in 2 different ways. And, as long as it's done in a positive, productive way, that level of denial is a perfectly, acceptable way of dealing with the obstacles of life. But that isn't the denial that I'm talking about. The denial I'm talking about is the one we all know, where, we're talking about the sort of alcoholism or drug addiction type denial. The simple fact that you're refusing to admit the truth or the reality of something unpleasant. That's a dictionary definition. And that's the sort of one that I've always, I guess is one of the catalysts for why I do the podcast, which is the sort of the thing you're telling yourself in your mind, the denial engine. I've been noted to have been saying this a few times in my life, that I think denial is one of the greatest drugs we can take advantage of. But denial in the sort of psychological sense is one of the ones that is also one of the more dangerous things you can have in your life. And in general, the struggle with it can be very real, right? And you may not know that you're in denial specifically, but you definitely know in your inner monologue that something's going on. And whether you want to face it or not, I think is the big challenge. That is simplification to a certain degree, but if you agree with my viewpoint that in your monologue, your life, and the things that you have going on, whether they're good or bad or ugly or whatever, you know that things are off. You can tell in yourself when you don't like a thing, or you may not be dealing with something well. You may not know the full impact and detail of that. You may come to the conclusion slightly late, but the point is that kind of all the way to that point, if you really reflect and look back, you'll know something was slightly off. You'll know that something's getting out of control, that you'll feel that sort of control issue, or the loss of control happening, and you unravel. Now I'm talking about the things whereby you're kind of completely out of control here, and that sort of denial when a thing is kind of out of control, rather than being completely out of control, such as deep into alcoholism or drug addiction, at which point you need help, and you have to get to that point where you admit you need the help, because you have to have that realization point that something's wrong and something's out of control in order to get there. So denial is an incredible psychological trick one can play on themselves, and whether you know it or not that it's happening, it's a dangerous mental gambit, right? And I would say we've all had to deal with a level of denial at some point in our life, whether it be very small kind of denial or very large denial. We've all had to kind of deal with it. But I'm kind of talking about the flip side too, because the flip side of denial is that I do believe that you can take advantage of denial in really positive ways. It's one of those things where you can close your eyes to the issues and the problems, and dance around, and have really negative denial, or you can kind of do it in a way which makes existing work. And I've brought this up kind of in the past. I think it was in the middle of another one of the Unplug Yourself interviews, but the real sort of interesting version of denial that I've played with is the one where you can use it to your advantage in a difficult situation. Such as if you want to deal with work in a productive way, you have to get through it. Deal with life, and how life unfolds itself. Potentially, as a very specific example, walking into a room full of strangers and striking up a conversation. That in itself is a daunting task for many people. But what becomes daunting about that task is not the act of doing the thing. It's everything that's going on in your mind that you're judging yourself or dealing with in order to create the moment whereby you're okay to say hello and strike up a conversation, or even come up with something to say. It's the baggage you bring into the situation that makes it complex, right? Because at the end of the day, the people that you're going to talk to aren't necessarily bringing that baggage to the mix. It's something that you are bringing to the mix. So to walk that example out, right? I leverage denial when walking into a room full of strangers. I don't really have a problem talking to anybody, but I think the point is, for this example, when I walk into a room full of strangers, I deny any internal monologue around what will they think of me. I deny any internal monologue around will they be judging me on how I might look, right? As an example, I sort of deny any internal monologue around will I say anything truly offensive or be judged? I deny any internal monologue around whether or not someone will not want to talk to me. All the things that you can kind of come up with, these sort of bags you carry around that stop you from doing a thing. I leverage denial to, grease the wheel of getting through a situation. Now, over time, I don't even have those issues anymore, and those bags don't even get brought with me into a situation anymore. But I think the point is that, I've had many conversations with people that do carry those bags with them. They bring these things that are prejudgments or prophetic to the mix, and then all of a sudden it inhibits their ability to do a thing. So to a certain degree, I believe that you can leverage denial to, it's not personal denial, but it's kind of leveraging the same denial snake, mental, psychological denial, to just say, no, fuck it. That doesn't really matter. This is stopping me from entering the room. from doing the thing that I need to do, or to be a part of a thing that could be hugely beneficial. I mean, at the end of the day, you never know what you're going to get from entering into a situation. You can get the most unique experience you've ever had in your life by just simply going and being a part of something. It is the baggage that stops you from getting there. So, I guess the point being, denial is both good and bad, and that's the food for thought I'm posing today. And I guess it's one of those things where it's all about perspective, something that I bring up often. It's all about how you perceive a thing, right? If I perceive the denial as only the classification of drugs and alcohol and different sort of things that that it's a negative, then of course I'm only going to almost be in denial about the act of denial, right? You can keep playing this mental game for a while, right? And how long can this go for? But the point is that we all have taken advantage of denial to some degree. We've all had certain things take place in our lives that we don't want to face. And it's denial that gets in the way of us actually moving through or breaking through to the other side of these things. And I guess my challenge for you is to accept the world whereby things are going to be challenging and that you may not want to face them, but to get in front of them early, right? This all comes back to, fessing up. Even if it's just to yourself first, fess up and say, fuck, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe that I am not facing this, right? That's the first step of getting through things where you've been sort of talking to yourself and living through these sort of uncomfortable moments over and over and over again and never doing anything about it. Admit that it's an issue, admit that it's a problem, and then you can jump at least forward past it into the, all right, what do I do now? And my suggestion to you is the what do you do now is, who do I talk to about this? Whether it be I need to go seek some help from somebody, or I just at least confide in a friend and make myself look like a bit of an asshole about how stupid I've been. But that should be good enough, right? And if you have a good friend, they're not going to care. They're going to laugh at you, sure. They're going to give you some shit about it, sure. Hopefully they do, because that's a good friend, someone who's willing to accept what you've got and give you some shit for it. But the point is, they're also going to sit there and say, all right, now I own your ass. Now I'm not going to let you do that anymore. Now we're going to work together and make this a positive. We're going to figure out a way out of it. Because denial ultimately is the blocker. It's the thing that's in the way, right? And that can be the thing that is both good to get you into a room or bad that isn't going to get you into a room. And I guess I'm kind of brought this up, and I've been grappling with this one because I deal with this in so many different ways. There's so many layers to this particular onion in my life, and I've been grappling with denial on a lot of little streams, right? And some of which I didn't want to face. I was proactively kind of just in denial about the ramifications of a particular decision that I was going to make. I was leveraging denial to make it easier for me in a weird way, in a kind of a narcissistic way. I've had to face the music on the reality of that and what it means over the last couple of weeks. In other areas of my life too, where I've just kind of, I guess, been sitting on the sidelines, not really doing what I should be doing, or at least maybe it's not what I should be doing, or at least not saying what I need to say to progress, right? And sometimes it takes a long time to get where you need to go with a particular issue you have and things that you're grappling with in your life. But it's the work that matters. It's the perseverance. It's the getting after it part that we all need to step up and do. And I know that I have to do. And every so often, as much as I hate a situation, as much as I might grind against it and be shitty about it, I eventually come to terms with the fact that I have to own it. I'm responsible for it. I have to do what I have to do about it. And ultimately, it always just comes down to, what am I going to do? What is my role in this? What am I supposed to be doing? What do I want from it? And if I'm too much of a pussy to say, I need this from a situation, then I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not doing the job, right? And that is to be a better human, to be a better human. And that is my food for thought today. Have a look at your denial engine. Really think about it, step into it, lean into it, use it where you need to. And when you realize that you've been sucked into a denial monster, step back and figure out what you needed to get the fuck out of it. For those that are, in deeper trouble than that and really know that they need some help, then they should reach out to the appropriate channels. I always implore people to ask for help. It's the one thing you have in your arsenal. Everyone can ask for help. You should never let your ego or your emotions or your baggage or anything get in the way of you saying, hey, I just need some help. Hear me out. This is what I need. Or, oh, fuck, I'm fucked. Somebody help me. It doesn't matter. Tell someone on the street. Tell a stranger. Shit. Who cares? Maybe that's all you really need to get clear of something. It's just sort of dump and forget. But the point is that, we all need to reach out when we need to, and we all need to take responsibility for our shit. So yeah, that's really it. I thank you for your time, people. I hope you enjoyed it. And that's my food for thought. I think I'm one away from cracking that 20 episodes. That'll be pretty cool. All right, everybody. Thanks. Have a good day.